Hello, it's Marilyn Harris here of Heart at Work, and the podcast show is called Creating an Impact. And I'm here with Timi, and she's my guest for today. I'm so excited to learn more about it. We were just pre-chatting before the show, and we're both kind of high anxiety here, so we want to get going. So I wanted to just get kind of getting kind of bright here. I'm in a dark room.
Can't tell.
So anyway, Timmy, I'm really very interested in your topic that we're going to present today and what you're going to talk about. And so I really would like to know how you got started in doing what you're doing now.
Well, Marilyn, first of all, thank you for inviting me today. I was really glad that I was going on a podcast about legacy and building legacy and understanding legacy. So, let's see. So, how I got where I am. So, I'm doing two things with my life that are pertinent to what we're talking about today.
Hmm.
And the main thing that would be pertinent to what, that would be really focused is that I create SoulWork Maps for people that tell them what are they why are they here, what do they
Hmm.
need to work on, where might they be headed, and then I include additional information of how do people see you, so
Hmm.
based on where you're headed or what
Yeah.
you're working on, how do people see you, and then also what would be the skill sets that you would be using to get there.
Hmm.
But I am an executive coach and I specialize in strategic thinking and critical thinking skills for high level executives.
Hmm.
And during the pandemic, oh, there's a side thing I do, which is I answer questions on Quora.com. And during the pandemic, I was dealing with executives all over the world for this company that I had a contract with, and they were going through some things about why am I here? This is really hard during a pandemic.
Yeah.
And then I also was answering questions on Quora, and there were a lot of people of like, what's the point of being alive?
Yeah.
Why can't I do this? I can't do this. I'm going to miss this whole thing. Why or how do I cope with all this? And I
Hmm.
was sitting there as a coach going, well, if you were my client, I would have you do this and do this and do this, and I would help you with that. And then I got to thinking, well, maybe there's some product or some affordable uh, tool that I could create
Hmm.
that would, that would help people, because a lot of people aren't going to ever work with an executive coach. But
Right.
how can I take the things that I do and I use? So that's how I got to this now, and I am using numerology,
Hmm.
name numerology, and birth name numerology, and birth dates to help narrow down what's your legacy and what do you need to work on? What have you
Hmm.
got going on now that you work on to get to that legacy?
Hmm. So it really merges very well with your corporate work because
It
it's
does.
strategy and the numerology and the tools that you're using
Right.
really
Right.
help your coaching and your
Yeah, except I can't
strategic.
do numerology in an executive world. It isn't, that isn't what they pay you for. You have to keep your mouth shut.
I
But
don't
I'll
know.
be
I
honest,
agree with
there were
that.
some people that, we did say, I said, well, if you want to do this on the side, we could do it. So,
Yeah.
yeah, but it's a side thing for me, because when you have a corporate contract, you have to stay within the
Hmm.
lines of that.
Right. Right. Well, I beg you to differ, but that's okay. You can do whatever you
Well,
want
I don't want to
to
get fired,
do.
but a lot of people, they'll tell you their birthday, or
Yeah.
they'll say, well, I'm 54 years old. They'll say, oh, when's your birthday? And I can get it out of them. And then I have it as
Right.
my data to be able to kind of talk to them a certain way without even
Yeah.
revealing what,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. It just it endorses and encourages and embellishes more what you do and what
Yeah.
you're specifically known for, you
Yes.
know, that type of thing. That's so cool.
Yes.
That's so cool. So
Yeah.
you're doing the three of things, kind of blending them, massaging them together.
Yes.
And
Yes.
so you're still doing your corporate work, right?
Yes. I do both.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So who are and how do you find that most people are needing more support in? Is it more just legacy
Well,
work?
I'll tell you this, that's a pretty good question, actually, because what started to happen, figure I was 35 then, I'm
Yeah.
over that now.
Okay. You don't
It's
have to
been
tell us.
decades, right? It's been decades. And what's happened is I now attract a certain kind of person.
Hmm.
And the people that I attract are often wondering, if they're older, they're wondering, did I do it right?
Hmm.
Um, if they're kind of middle, like 35, 45, 50, wondering, what else could I do? Or why am I here? What's going on now? Because maybe they're not really
Hmm.
at the destiny level yet, but they're working towards it. So if you could show them, well, this is what I see, and they're like, I do that. And it's like,
Yeah.
well, then you're on the right track.
Yeah.
So a lot of it is affirming, reassuring, defining, showing people what I see
Hmm.
and sharing that with them so they can go, oh, that's exactly what I do.
Hmm.
Then good. Okay, then good. So for me, when I was discovering it, I was 35 years old. I was in a job that it was very exciting to get, but the more I did it, the more I went, oh my God, this is not, you know. And
Why am
so
I
then I was
here?
like, why am I here?
Yeah.
What am I here for? And so I knew from my birthday and how you do birthdays, just in case any of you who are listening are wondering, you take your month and you add it to your day. And then you take your year, which is frequently 19 something, and you go 1 + 9 plus the next number plus the next
Mhm.
number. And you take whatever that number is and you add it to the other two. And I do want to make a little hint that if you were born in October, November, or December, it's 10, 11, or 12. So
Mm,
I was born in December, December 1st. So there's 13 points right there. And then when you add up my birthday, it's another 24 points.
mm,
And so it's 20, yeah, it's 20, 23. I don't know.
yeah,
Anyway, it's like in
yeah.
there. All right. So then you add it up and you get like a double number. So in my case, the double number is 36. And in traditional numerology, they're narrowing it down to 1 through 9.
Right.
So 36 would be a 9. So
Hmm.
somebody would say to me, oh, you're a humanitarian. Well, that isn't very helpful to me if I'm in the newspaper business and I'm running a human resources department. It doesn't feel very humanitarian to me,
Right, right.
right? It just doesn't. It feels very transactional and businesslike. But what I can do is say, I might be a business humanitarian. And I checked that out by adding up my name, which nailed it. I
Mm,
was definitely a business humanitarian. Then, but back to your birthday, I'm working on a 3 and a 6 vibration to make that 9.
hmm.
So what I do is I go deeper into these numbers. If
Hmm.
you're a seven, what kind of seven are you? What was your numbers that led you to be that seven? Was it a
Hmm.
3 and a 4? Was it a 1 and a 6? And it starts to tell us, what do you need to work on?
Mm,
And what you work on is your path for how you're going to reach your destiny, your legacy that you're going to leave behind. So
hmm.
in my case, 3 is communication and creativity.
Hmm.
And 6 would be creating foundations for others. Well, the 6 was easy because if you're the human resources director, you're making sure they get paid, you're making sure they have benefits, you're making sure they have a safe work environment. You are laying foundations for others so they can move forward. So then I was like, okay, so this is a good job for me because I'm working my numbers. But the 3 was interesting because the 3 is creativity and communication. And I was already a community mediator.
Hmm.
I wasn't too shy. But what I realized was, okay, I need to do advanced communication or advanced creativity. So
Hmm.
I have a degree, or not a degree, but like a certification in commercial design for just to help me with my creativity.
Right.
I'm taking business sketching right now. I'm always developing my creativity in business.
Hmm.
And then I'm communicating, and I now am a strategic planner. I do mediations. I have a certification in conversational intelligence. So I have advanced communication skills.
Right.
And this is how, and I answer questions on Quora for
Yeah.
people all over the world. And I try to answer them in a very respectful, educational, supportive, foundational way so
Yeah.
that somebody from another part of the United States that isn't living in cities like I am, or somebody from another country who's
Yeah.
asking why do these things happen? I'm offering that.
Hmm.
And so that's my way of working my way towards my destiny.
Right. Right.
And I believe your destiny is where you're going to leave your legacy.
Right. And so your legacy is going to be,
My what
your legacy is.
is going to be, well, so according to my birth name, I've never changed my name. So I do
Yeah.
also have a system, if you change your name,
Yeah.
how to know what that destiny is. But I've never changed mine, so it was easy. My name, and let me just say, if you don't know numerology very well, A is one, B is two, C is three, and
Hmm.
you go across to nine, and then you start the line over again. So you have your alphabet. It's one through nine, and so
Right.
my name is Timi Catherine Gleason. So there's some A's in there, some E's in there, and it added up to 99 points. And so several insights there. A 99 is a double number, it's a master number. So it
Hmm.
means you're going to operate at a global level and
Hmm.
that you've probably done this before and it's going to be fairly straightforward for you in this lifetime. You're a master on some level, whether you know it or not.
Right.
Then then 9 and 9 reduces to 18, which there's where I knew I was a business humanitarian because an 18 is the CEO of something,
Hmm.
the creator of something.
Right.
And then again, a humanitarian. So my destiny is humanitarian, but it's a business global type of expression. And then if you look at my birth date, it's a humanitarian, and I'm working on communication skills and creating foundations for others.
Hmm. Hmm.
Okay, so now you start to have a little bit of of the structure. So when things are rough, you can say, well, like, people would be, they had extended COVID and things during COVID. And so it's
Right.
like, well, if you were stuck in bed, you could still work on if you're me, you can still
Yeah.
work on your communication skills and you can still think about foundations for others. If it's the nurses that are taking care of you or the family that's around you, supporting
Hmm.
you while you are sick, you can still be nice to them and you can still do things to help through your behavior.
Right.
So
Right.
it just, on a stopgap, it helps you with that. Or if you're in a job, you know what you need to do. So when I actually realized after I had pulled together my ideas of a birthday number, a name number, and then I have these two really lovely business assessments that I really, really respect and like.
Hmm.
One of them is the Gallup Strength Finders, and the other one is the Fascination Test,
Okay.
howtofascinate.com. And they're very affordable. I mean,
Hmm.
for $110, you can do both.
Right.
And so eventually, I started to see a map. And so I created a map.
Oh,
And so this is your birthday. These are the numbers from your birthday. This is
yeah.
the fascination report. This is Strength Finders right here. And then this is your name right here.
Hmm.
And
Right.
it's a map. And then in the middle are all the things that stop you. And the things that stop you are barking up a wrong tree, the roller coaster of change, the Ferris wheel of multiple perspectives, and the carousel of choices. And so you've got, fun little sense of humor about it. And then every map needs to have a legend. And
Hmm.
so this is what the legend looks like. And it's 1 through 8. And it tells you all the data that we've collected about your name and about
Hmm.
your birthday and the two assessments.
Wow. Wow.
So what's cool,
That'd be
it's
really
kind of
incredible,
evolved, right? Because I
right?
started out with I know what I would do, and then it started out with, well, how would I make it affordable? And then it was like, how do I express this? And all of a sudden, I saw maps,
Yeah.
competitions.
Made it more visual, creative,
Yeah,
creatively visual. Yeah.
yeah. And remember, one of my lessons is a 3 and a 6. The 3 is I have to be creative.
Right.
So I'm creating a legacy of answers for people that are seeking them. And then you had asked me, how do I find people? And the thing is that what is happening is that people that are usually have high destinies are thinking about this kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It isn't really everybody. It's
Yeah.
people that are restless inside that are like,
Mm-hmm.
I think there's more to life than this.
Yeah.
Or like I was, like, well,
Yeah.
I don't know about this wonderful job I just got now that I've done it for a couple of years. But it's like you have a sense of there's more and
Mm.
there's something you should do. And unfortunately, if you don't have someone like me to talk to and kind of sort through it with you, you are maybe angry or pessimistic or sarcastic
Mm-hmm.
and kind of gnarly a little
Yeah.
bit. So when I see people that do that, I try to start conversations with them and say, ask them questions and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And usually it's exactly what I think. They have a really high calling. They don't get it.
Yeah.
No one's ever suggested it. No, they didn't even know it was possible. I
Right.
mean, I'm that way. I was raised Catholic. You don't do numerology and astrology.
Yeah.
That's not something, that
Yeah.
is
It's supposed to do.
something that happens when you're younger.
Right.
And so I had to kind of overcome some barriers to learn numer to even understand. I didn't even know it existed until I was in my 30s. And then it just started pouring at me. It just started every place I looked, it was there. Uh, and I was like, well, if you're going to be here in this odd situation, maybe after 5 times I should like investigate it. So I did.
Yeah, it keeps popping up. Maybe I should take a
It
look at
did in
it.
odd places, very, very odd places.
Yeah.
I went to a tennis camp and there was a numerology workshop. I went to go talk to a lady about being in a exercise class, and she had just come from talking to the woman that I ultimately talked to that helped me, a numerology woman who
Yeah.
changed her life kind of thing. So,
Yeah.
you just eventually go, okay, I can take a hint. I'll do it.
Well, it's popped up too often, so maybe I need to look at it. Investigate to see really what
Yep.
this is about. And it
Yep.
may
And
not
that's
even be about you, but there's
right.
something in
There's
it that you need to look
something
at.
happening with it that
Yeah.
you need to look into. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I have to say, it took a while. I mean, I respected what this woman told me, but it took a while to get it. And what she was yelling at me, which I also did not understand why she
Yeah.
would be yelling at me and beating on the table because she was trying to get, I was kind of like, yeah, yeah, yeah. And she was kind of like, wake the, you know what, up. Wake up. You are a 99. You
Yeah.
have big things to do and you don't know it. And you're 35 years old and you need to wake up and start learning some things and then opening your mind and then,
Hmm.
allowing certain opportunities to come.
Right. Right. Yeah.
So I did.
Well, I'm so glad you did because I think it's a very dynamic and very, global idea to help people lay the foundation and to help other people grow their legacy as well,
Yes.
right?
And to realize they have one or that,
Right.
that there is something. And for some people, their legacy is just to be a dedicated mother and a good uh
Right.
like head of the household kind of a person.
Right.
And then other people it's business related and other people, it may be science related where they have to come up with something unique. It just
Hmm.
sort of depends.
Right. Right. I think the challenge when I say legacy too is that they all think, oh, well, I'm not there yet. And there's no, but you're starting to do something. What is it that
Right.
you want to,
You're working on it. Yeah.
yeah,
You're
like
working on it.
it's sort of like the end result and work your way back.
Yes,
Are
it
you going
is.
that way?
And by the time I heard about it, would have been around 35. When it was sort of explained to me, I could look back and see that at age 20 and 25 and
Hmm.
at 29, that I had actually been doing it at the level that I could for that age.
Right.
I mean, I was at 25, so I'm a global humanitarian. At age 25, I was in charge of the entire San Diego County, state of California, Southeast Asian refugee program.
Hmm.
So all these people pouring in and they need jobs.
Right.
And I'm in charge of all this at 25 years old.
Hmm.
Now, why? Because nobody wanted to learn their names. I already knew how to do it. and they just sort of pushed it on me. But it doesn't matter. If you look back, I was
Right.
practicing for what's coming.
Right. Yeah.
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 So you can see it, and that's the thing. People go, well, I don't know if I believe in numerology. It's like, well, let's just do it and look at it. And then of course they always say that resonates. That
Yeah.
feels right.
Yeah.
And people go, well, do you really believe in all that? It's like, well, it resonates.
Hmm.
Who knows what's true, right? But it resonates. And if it resonates with your soul and your
Hmm.
spirit and your heart, then it's worth following. It's worth, you don't have to believe in it, but it's worth experimenting with it and seeing where it leads you.
Yeah. Being curious about
Yes,
the
being
whole
curious.
situation. I call it
Right.
be let's be unreasonable. Let's
Yes,
slow
unreasonable. That's a good one. That's one of my favorite. Yeah.
and let's be unreasonable and investigate it. And
Yes.
if it isn't for you, it isn't for you. But I bet you'll find some little aha moments in there that you'll say, yes, I resonate with that, and that
Yes.
resonates with me.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you that the most common person that I've been finding for years now are people that their birthday adds up to a two. And when you say, oh, well, tell me your birthday, because you want to see where did that two come from?
Yeah.
The two, a lot comes from an 11, and
Yeah.
then maybe from a bigger number like a 56, or what else, an 38 or something, and it reduces to 11, and then it reduces to 2. And so in traditional numerology, the ones that where they're making lots of money, they'll say, oh, you're a 2 and you need to work on this. Well, you know what, if you're an 11, don't be living the life of a 2. You need to be living the life of an 11,
Right.
and the 11, because it's a double number.
Master number. Yeah.
Yep,
Master
master
number.
number.
Yeah.
And an 11 is a spiritual light messenger. And
Hmm.
it's someone who has a message. They came here to
Mm.
give a message, and they need to now, it's time. They just met me. It's time to think about what would
Yeah.
that message be. I end up being the lady beating on the table yelling, it's
Yeah.
like, you have a message. Well,
Yeah.
I don't think I do, I don't know. Or
Yeah.
they'll go, well, I was thinking about this. It's
Yeah.
like, okay, what are you thinking about that? Tell me more. And
Hmm.
you have a message, and the message is your responsibility to share with others to help uplift the race.
Right. Right. Do you have a story that a client that you worked with that you were you're pounding on the counter basically just saying, hey, but or do you have any other favorite stories you like to
Well, I
share?
do have a favorite story. So the assessments are very interesting. And
Hmm.
when I had this big contract during the pandemic, I had a guy that was, I was assuming, you don't get to see them because I had a military contract. So
Hmm.
it's all done on the phone. But I was sure he was African American, and had the impression that he might wear bow ties. He was
Hmm.
an executive, and he was on a base. But some people, you just go, that guy wears a bow tie. You just
Yeah.
can tell they're kind of preppy. And he was having issues with people using race against him and stuff, not at work, but outside. So I knew
Yeah.
that. And towards the end, he said, I wish I knew how my people look at me.
Hmm.
And I said, well, this isn't part of our contract, but if you want to do this on your own, go take the howtofascinate.com assessment and bring it to the next session, and we'll take
Hmm.
a look at that, because it'll tell you how people see you.
Right.
Not what do you want your brand to be, but what do people see as your brand.
Hmm.
So 2 weeks later, we have our last appointment, and I said, so did you take me up on my offer? And he goes, yes, I did. And I said, okay, so what um what was your archetype? What did you get? He goes, Timi. Oh, okay. So what had brought this up the time before was, he said, when I leave at night, I can't get out of there without somebody walking up to me and asking me some question, or asking me to work more as I'm headed to my car. And I don't think that's right.
Hmm.
Okay. He felt violated by that.
Yeah.
Okay. So now, what did you find out? He goes, Timi, I am James Bond. Because with this assessment, they give you archetypes. They
Yeah.
tell you, who are you like in real life?
Hmm.
What would be an example of what we're saying to you? And he said, I'm James Bond. And I said, So when you're trying to leave work and you're feeling like they're not respecting you, he goes, yeah, they're following me going, James, oh, James, one more thing before you leave, right? That's what they're doing. And I
Like
said, so how do you
Columbo.
feel about that? And he said, my wife and I have talked about nothing else for the last 2 weeks. We keep thinking up stuff that I took wrong or that I could have taken differently or that meant something other than the way I took it. But he
Yeah.
says, we're just redoing this whole thing.
Yeah.
And, and I mean, I sympathize with, because as a woman, you go through a lot of discrimination and a lot of
Hmm.
unfairness. And
Yeah.
I understand, but he had decided it was because he was maybe a Black leader or whatever, and people were just disrespectful of his time when really he's like a specialist. He's like this super bright guy
Yeah.
that they were after. So that's one of my favorites. And that was just a one-off thing that I did for somebody. And then after that, I was like, this is a hot piece.
Yeah.
Because I had had the same reaction, a
Hmm.
little different version of it, but I had had the same reaction when I did it. I had so many questions at this point in my life about why I had gotten away with stuff or why it was okay to do some of the things I had done
Hmm.
professionally, and why people said yes to things like even being 25 and in charge of a whole Southeast Asian refugee thing for
Right.
the state and for the city and for the county. How does that happen? How do I just graduate from college and within months this is happening to me? And it's because my archetype is that way.
Hmm.
People look and go, yeah, she can handle it. We'll give it to her. you know?
We
and
don't want
and
it, so we'll give it to her.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And
Yeah.
so my people, when they said, what, who are you like? Well, this thing rang anyway. All right, hold a sec. So, who are you like? I'm like a combination of Princess Diana and Michael Bloomberg. So if I am, then I need to I need to step into that
Hmm.
and realize that's what people, maybe they don't use those words, but they're going, oh, she's here. Let's,
Yeah.
and just step into it and realize, understand the invitations I get, understand, like I was like, well, why when I say I'm going to speak, which isn't very often,
Hmm.
do I pack a room? Why do
Hmm.
I pack a room? Well, because Princess Diana is going to speak. I mean, I don't know. I don't
Yeah.
understand it, but it changed my behavior,
Hmm.
changed my, it answered a lot of questions for me.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So cool. So if somebody wants to work with you, what's the best way to do that? How do they
Well,
get hold
I
of
would invite you to either go on LinkedIn
you? Hmm.
and look up my name, which is, as you can see, is Timi Gleason, and
Hmm.
I'm really the only one there. There's probably 8 Timmys, and I'm the only one that's Timi Gleason, and I'm Coach Timi.
Okay.
And then I also have on LinkedIn a SoulWork Maps link, so you could
Okay.
see both. You could, and then you could go to soulworkmaps.com also
Yeah.
and just look and see what I'm talking about. And then if you want to have a conversation, just let us know. Let me know.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Cool.
tell me that you heard about me on Marilyn's podcast
Yeah.
so I can.
Yeah. Well, for sure, I'll put all that information below the video. So when it goes out to the universe, then
That's right.
people will know how to get a hold of you and how
Sure, and
they
I'd be
want to
happy
work
to
with you.
talk about it. I wouldn't.
Yeah.
I would like to talk, and find out what are your needs.
Right. Right. For sure. Yeah. Anything else you want to say? Final say you want to before we close up?
I just think that we're all here for a reason. We're
Hmm.
not all here to be global humanitarians.
Yeah.
So, it's nice if you can kind of know that you're on the right track, that you're doing, whether you believe in God or not, that you're doing God's work, or that
Hmm.
you're, here for the reason you're supposed to be here for.
Right.
And I love the idea of providing that for people
Right.
and having something like numerology, which is very commercialized and kind of like
Yeah.
almost like a tea party kind of a thing,
Yeah.
to make it practical
Hmm.
and to make it meaningful.
Hmm. Hmm. No, it's such
So
a wonderful tool to use once you understand yourself and the numbers and how they all work, and then they can come to you and get a further explanation
yeah,
about
I
it
could go
all, right?
deeper with it. And
Yeah.
here you just sort of triggered something else, and that is that you can take your month and your day and add the numbers of the current year. So 2024 is an 8. You can take your month, your day, and the current year, and you can predict what your themes are for the year. And if
Mm-hmm.
you have something big you're trying to do or something big coming up, we could lay out when and how to approach that.
Mm-hmm.
Like when I was getting ready, I had this idea of doing the map. It is so much work and it's a lot of content that has to be created. And I
Right.
was like, I don't know, I don't know if I can do that. But I looked at the numbers and it was like, oh my gosh, next year is my destiny number.
Right.
This year, I should get all this stuff done. How much time do I have? I have 9 months. Okay. So I made a limited investment. I got myself a helper and we just
Right.
focused and we did it. And
Yeah.
we were ready by the time my birthday came and we had it,
Mm-hmm.
we had it done. So it helps you also with your energy if you know, okay, there's a certain amount of time, and I call it a portal.
Mm-hmm.
It's a spiritual portal, and you just go, full blast into that
Mm-hmm.
portal, and then you come back out and you're done, and then whatever's going to happen next happens.
Mm-hmm.
And I
Mm-hmm.
find that to be a great way to manage your time and your energy because
Right. Right.
most of us are hurting for that one,
Yeah. Most of us are
and
allowing
money,
the time
time and
to
money.
manage
Yeah,
us rather than the other way
yeah.
around.
Yeah, yeah. So that was really, really good. And it was sort of like, well, I have to get this done before this certain date because then I switch into the next theme. So I do themes, and I think that's also can be really helpful.
Right.
I had my daughter had cancer for a while. We could see it, we could see the theme and when it would get better. And it's just helpful when there's pressure.
Right. Right. You can be more relaxed into knowing the answer and when to
Yeah.
respond. Right.
And you can
Yeah.
trust that it's not forever
You're
because
right.
it's never forever.
Never
Yeah.
forever. Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. Well, thank you so much for being on the
You're
show today.
welcome.
And
Thank you for having such a show. I think it's such an important conversation.
well, it is, so many people are just, well, I'm not doing a legacy or I'm not creating any kind of impact. And I says, yeah, we all are. You have
Yeah.
to stop and think about what is it that you're doing and,
Yeah.
and share the story because everybody wants to know, right?
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
it is. And a lot of people think they're flying under the radar. I was in a branding class once and they said, I don't have a brand. I'm flying under the radar. And that's your brand.
Well,
So
it's so
it's
great
a
to talk
chance
with
for
you.
very affordably, to try
Yeah.
to figure out some of this stuff. So,
Right, for sure. Well, for my birthday present, I think I'll book a session with you. But
oh, good.
anyway,
Let's do it. All right.
yeah, okay. Give me your calendar link and I'll book it. So,
Okay.
okay, thank you very much, Timmy. And
Thanks, Marilyn.
you have a
Bye,
great day.
everybody. Thank you for
Bye.
listening.
We'll talk to you later. And in
Okay.
the end, please be kind to each other. That's all that matters. Okay. Okay, thank you. Um, Chat. Are we gonna close this? Oh, I just ended.